So we're very determined to make sure our joint venture partnerships are very enlightened that if they want to come on board with Pine House, they better really come on board. We're not interested in brown skin games here.
Anybody else? Any other question? I got two quick questions. First of all, in your submission, you mentioned something called Harvard Project on American Indian Economic Development. What is this?
I don't know much of that. I wasn't directly involved in the restructuring of Pine House Business North. As you saw from my title, I'm the Executive Director of Quinnipiac Métis Local, so I'm too busy trying to engage with the Crown, if you will, on pertinent matters. But that question could be effectively answered if people within Westcap Management, whose offices are here in Saskatoon, could be asked that question. But I think, in my opinion, knowing what I know of that project is a systematic way of approaching governance and protocols of restructuring small economic development entities and Aboriginal communities, effectively splitting politics and business. That's the essence of splitting politics and business, because a politician is not a good businessman, as we all know, or maybe sometimes.
There'll be no comment on that one. Staff, anybody came across that, or anybody is aware of that? It's in their submission as Exhibit D. So there's, anyhow, if nobody, maybe we'll just pursue it a bit later on. My last question is a bit an unfair question. Are you aware of some of the debates that are ongoing now with the Cree Nation in Quebec, adamantly against
yes.
uranium mining? And always fascinated me about the different perspective between northern Saskatchewan and northern Quebec. How do you explain this diametrically different approach and views about uranium mining?
Generally speaking, I think uranium mining, or the introduction of that, is a foregone conclusion in northern Saskatchewan. They were here since the mid-70s. So generally speaking, a lot of northerners have gone through the working with the mine sites. A lot of northerners to this day see the rigorous management, radiation management, or the environmental protection, or the safety, all those things. As a matter of fact, a lot of us, including myself, every time I go visit the mine sites, I have to go through some kind of an orientation thing. So I hope that answers that question, where Cameco and Areva have been a part of northern Saskatchewan in a lot of ways since the mid-70s. As opposed to northern Quebec, I don't know much of northern Quebec and that company Strato. I think they're basically at the stage of, hello, how are you? My name is so-and-so in northern Quebec. So maybe that's why. And maybe it's because of media. In my opinion, the nuclear industry has been painted with a lot of strokes, a lot of different kind of colors. Instead of black and white, there's a lot of in between. So maybe, if being presumptuous here, northern Quebec community leaders can maybe just take the time and look at information for its own merits, rather than maybe opening up the newspaper and then making some kind of comment. It's not fair. Even on the other, we're talking about nuclear waste, and we're not going to oppose anything without knowing the information. I think that's called ignorance. I'm not trying to paint the nice people in Quebec that, but I'm just making a fundamental statement here. If you're not prepared, if you're prepared to say yes or no to something, you better be prepared to know the information. If not, don't waste anybody's time.
Well, thank you. You may be invited to testify somewhere.
Well, actually, speaking of baby boomers, Mr. Binder, if you ever retire, I'm around, guys.
It'll be an open competition. Any final word to us?
No, other than just reiterating again, thank you, all Commission members, for doing your job effectively. I follow you guys, not religiously, of course, but I follow you guys, and you have a very hard task. And we all know that the world needs energy in all its different forms. And you guys just happen to be in a crosshairs of certain members of society, that's fine. We'll all do our song and dance, but at the end of the day, the world needs energy, and we're going to have to find it somehow. And Pinehouse just wants to be an active player within that, and that may be, if some people can't handle that, well, that's their prerogative, not ours.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.